Yeah, I think so. I always say, and I told this to the players, and I told the players I was going to tell you this, is I think we've made some additions to areas of need. You know, we had to replace Ryan McDonough. I think we did that with Brady Shea. I saw us in the playoffs play very good hockey. 5-on-5, I thought we were terrific. But we lost that series, in my opinion, in some of the special situations. We lost one game because of their power play was good, and one game where a good situation, 6-on-5 type of situation where they capitalized on that. And that, to me, we needed some more help in that. Those dynamic players for the power play needed to be deeper so that we can get our roles a little bit more defined. Ryan O'Reilly, for instance, to give you an example, he tried to, he'd be on the power play and then have to go kill a penalty right away. We were notorious for taking a penalty right after we just had a power play. So it's really hard on those top players. They have to play really demanding minutes. So we tried to be deeper, try to be more dynamic, have a little more scoring. Obviously, hopefully we did that in free agency. Saying that, on paper, playing fantasy hockey, we look like a better hockey team. And as I told the players, it's fantasy hockey until we become a good team. And then I went into how we become a good team, and there's a level of work and commitment and all that. And then obviously everybody last year looked at us and said, well, they're not probably going to be very good. And I said I didn't know where we were going to be good, or we could be really bad, or we could be sneaky good. And fortunately, we were sneaky good. Now this year, with with what we did in the summer and what we did, just say last year, and then leading into the playoffs, we look like a better hockey team. I believe we are a better hockey team. There's pressures that come with that, but I think we're mature enough. We have enough top end guys that are mature enough to recognize that pressure is. They've been in high pressure situations, and you look at that group. They've played in some guys have played in the Olympics, some guys have won Stanley Cups, some guys have played internationally and for gold medals and stuff like that. So they're used to the pressure, but there's expectation. This league's a really good league, and even with everything we did in the summer, and you look at the league as a whole. I look at there's like 11 teams. I'm like, there's only 8 spots, and there's 11 really good teams. So you have to be a good team, and you have to be consistent. So you have to stay in the moment. You have to play a selfless game. You have to have the commitment and accountability. And it's just, when it comes down to it, this is still a workman's league. You have to work every night together to have success in this league. And I think we have a really good profile to do that. We've got great leadership. We've got some, as I said, serial winners. We've got some really good character players behind those serial winners. We've got some good up-and-coming young talent that's already on the team, and we've got a really deep prospect pool coming in behind that. So right now I'm trying to thread the needle a little bit with our older guys. We're not a young team, but we're going to end up being a little bit younger as we start infusing more and more of these young guys. So, the next couple of years, I hope that the core group that we have, the older core, will carry us, and then hopefully it blends into the young guys, and hopefully we see that transition in a couple of years where we're a solid team. And I always say, we're trying to build a team that has identity and a team that has a good blend. You always hear me talk about, I love to have a really strong top 9, and then have that real strong identity, and then have core values and a real strong defense. And obviously with Juice as your lead dog in the goaltending department, you're going to be good there. So we have, as organizationally, I think we're in a good spot, but it's fantasy hockey until we drop the puck and play for real.
But that's the thing, Barry, with all these moves, this is kind of you position this organization to win now, right?
Well, I just want us to be a threat. I want to be I think I've been fortunate to win a Stanley Cup, and you can talk to, what you see is the best team in the National Hockey League, teams that have won, all that. They'll tell you they going into every season that's their goal, but in this game there's no guarantees because so many things can happen. You need so many things to go your way. You need a good deep team. You need a little bit of luck. Sometimes you just need the right opponent. You can talk to Stammer on this. Sometimes they talk about the path that you get sometimes works better for you than others. I remember when I was with the World Cup of Hockey, I was part of that coaching staff, and at that point, all the other coaches had won a cup. I was the only one that hadn't won a cup, and I thought they were giving me like a real good nugget of what'll get me over the hump and be be in that position to win a cup. And all the stories were, we should have been out in the first round. We didn't play the Islanders. If we would have played the Islanders, we wouldn't have won. It wasn't what I expected. But when I lived it with Washington and we won a cup, I got it. If you look back at when we won the cup, we lost our first 2 games. I believe it was against Columbus, and both in overtime, both home games, and the odds of winning. And then we won in Game 3. I think it was in double overtime. And then at that moment, I thought we're going to win a cup. My coaching staff didn't believe me, but I had heard those stories, and the way it was playing out, I was like, okay. Then we won the next game, and we beat Columbus 4 straight. Lost our first game against Pittsburgh, and then went to Game 7, and I was out without Backstrom and Wilson and a lot of our top players, and we were playing a lot of the Hershey Bears at that time, and we won in Game 7 in overtime. And we won it a different way. We were really structured. We were disciplined. We had a really good game plan for Game 7, and the guys executed, and the guys that had to come in from the minors played really well, and we won. And then I think we went to Tampa. We won the first 2 games in Tampa. Then we lost the next 3. Then we had to win, Game 6 and 7. And then we lost in Vegas Game 1. And you're like, okay, what else is going to happen? Then we won 4 straight. So we got a big save here at a timely save. We got a big goal at a timely time, right time. And it is unless you go through it, you really don't know. But you want to be a threat. I'd like to get this team to be a threat where, everybody's talking about expectations. Let's just win a round. We haven't won a round since 2017. So let's just win a round. Once you get past that first series, I found this. When you got past that first series, it became real to me because all of a sudden you had 16 teams. Now you're 8 real quickly. And it becomes real. It's not that it's not real when you first get in, but there's for me it was like a trigger. We went bang. Okay, there's only 8 left. And then you start thinking that. And I was very fortunate. We went, I think, 8 or 9 years where I got past that second round as a coach and won a cup and went to the conference finals a couple times. So just understanding that you have to be in a position to be a threat. There's teams that get in the playoffs, but you're not a threat.
Barry, with the Trotz signing, it seems like you're quickly running out of the cap room. I think last year you you started the season with quite a bit. Is that a difference in, we're just trying something different for this year? Do you want to spend the cap more?
Well, I think we want to, the cap's there for a reason. What you're trying to do is win hockey games. I'm not going to spend money if I don't think we're improving our hockey team. Last year, I think we had the most cap, I think, for a good portion of the year. And by saying that, there was no reason. I wanted to see where we were, and then I saw where we were as a team, as a culture. You have Roman Yossi's one of the top defensemen in the league. You got Philip Forsberg, one of the best power forwards in the league. You got UC Saros, one of the top goaltenders in the league, and they're still very productive. So I looked at this year as we had to fill some of these holes, and we couldn't do what we did in adding the pieces that we did at the prices if we wouldn't have had the cap space. But you need a prospect pull behind that. You need young players, or you're going to filter out. So we did something that was pretty hard to do in this league, and we'll see if we can become a threat. That's all. As I say, it's fantasy hockey until we can become a good team on the ice.
We were talking about being a threat, but also the lack of success in the playoffs for a while now in the franchise. Part of the urgency of bringing is some of the guys you brought in.
Well, to me, you've got three really good pieces. You talk to teams, and certain teams have 4 or 5 good pieces, and they're threats in the league. I think we have a few. I tried to add a couple and make us a threat. I know our culture is great. We're keep adding serial winners, and it was a little strange this year. Last year I didn't have to worry about cap and signings and dollars and a whole lot. This year I have to be very conscious of it. But we're trying to win. We're trying to bring good people in here, good players. I think your team expects that. If I'm asking our scouts to take swings, and I'm asking our players to take their swings and play every night, I got to give them the support. I got to give them players. I got to give them our fans, everybody. We're trying to win, and so we try to get the best pieces that fit in our group at the right time, and we try to develop the players and draft and keep assets, and it was a pretty active summer. Obviously, what I did in free agency, but some of the other moves that were made, you see, off the radar type of thing is getting like Ozzy Weisblatt from San Jose for Afanasyev. We're trying to, we have good players, but we have some duplicates, so we're moving assets around. I made a trade with Detroit, trading a prospect and a draft choice to get Andrew Gibson. He looks like he's going to be a good player for us. So we have some draft capital. We've got great ownership. We've got some prospects coming, all that. So we're in a good situation where we can take our swings right now.
Is some of that though learning? You have to learn how to be successful in the playoffs and things. I mean, like when you bring in somebody who's won cups.
Yeah. You got to slow everything. You got to stay present. I mean, the biggest thing for me, you got to get to the playoffs. You don't get to the playoffs by thinking about the playoffs in September. That's your goal, but you got to stay present every day. You got to be good today. You got to win the day. You hear coaches say that all the time. We just want to win the day, and there's a lot of truth to that. You have to be present every day. If you think, you're thinking about, 2 weeks down the road of a certain game or whatever, there's going to be 4 games in between that you're just pretty average. And average doesn't get you. Anybody can be average. I want us to be great. So you got to stay present. And I think with the veteran leadership that we have, we stay present, and you got to work. I mean, plain and simple. If you think you're going to put your equipment on and get on the ice, and the other team's going to hand you 2 points, good luck. You'll be out of the playoffs so fast. So you have a bad week in this league, you might be out of the playoffs. You saw every version of the Predators last year. You saw a bad team. We were like 5-10. Then we went like 14-3. You saw a pretty good team. And then we were very average at 8-8. We went through a stretch, and then we were looking like we were. Good example. I thought when we last year when we didn't go to Vegas, all the talk about the U2 thing. It wasn't that we were losing hockey games. I wasn't mad about that. I don't like to lose hockey games, but we weren't preparing to win. That was what was bothering me. We weren't preparing to win, and we didn't have the focus. We were thinking about other things, and it showed in our game. So I just tried to get our focus. And once we got our focus back, and 100% on the players, they got their focus, and we went on a really good run. You know, I think it was like 18 games we got points in. And so you get a stretch like that, you're going to make some ground, and we did, and we got in the playoffs. And we learned a lot from that. At the same time, I can't expect us to have a terrible start and run an 18-game point streak type of thing. Those are a little bit rare, but they're not impossible. But those go on because you get good focus, you get great commitment, and you have some luck here and there on the way. But sort of luck sort of follows you when you're focused and committed. We had 5 guys that had career years. History says that there's not going to be 5 guys that have career years this year. There might be a regression in some of those guys. So my job was to insulate some of them and protect us if guys don't have, match their years. And it's difficult when you have career years. Everybody goes, well, you got a career year last year. We were also pretty healthy. So there's a lot of factors. So I just wanted to make us deeper and more prepared to win.
With the news about Spencer, who does that open opportunities for? Was it different?
Well, I think we got really good depth. I mean, to be honest with you, Spencer's a good player. We also have last year Mark Delgazzo came up. Adam Wilsby had a terrific playoff in Milwaukee. We added Blankenberg, who's from Columbus. I've always liked him. He's played in Michigan. He had some injuries, but he's a really good player. You got Tanner Mollendijk, who's you saw him in the rookie tournament, and Gibson. They're good players. Got Gravel, who's the captain in Milwaukee. He's a guy that you can call up. Jake Livingston, who's played games. I think last year was a year of growth for him, and he's got a really good profile. He could be in that mix. So I'm not worried about our depth on defense. We've got through I'll say a lot of the growing pains for those guys. And really, there's a good competition in that group, for sure. And I'm probably missing someone, and that's the danger when I start naming names. There's someone I forgot, but there's a whole group of guys, and there'll be, as I said to the players, every year there is a surprise, and there's someone who, it's not necessarily a disappointment for us, but a disappointment even in the player going, I didn't have a good camp, and I get it. But what those things are opportunities. One, someone's going to take advantage of an opportunity or a hole or a possible situation. Another one will give it up. And training camp to me is not necessarily the team that we start on. At the start of the season will be the team that you end with. But what it does is it puts everybody in who's the next guy up. If you didn't make the team, you're preparing to get yourself ranked in a sense and get your place. If there is an injury, you're the guy that's getting called up. If there's an opportunity, say, I'm a big believer in guys being very specific in their role. You look at some of our young guys, like a guy like Parsonen. In Milwaukee, we had him play. He's played wing and he's played center. I had him play center. He played a lot of minutes last year. He played some on the power play. He played some on the penalty kill. As he comes up here, I think he will probably be on the penalty kill more on the power play based on the way our roster's constructed. A guy like Phil Tomasino will probably not be on the penalty kill, but should be part of the power play process. So as you get in this league, it's more specialized, and the roles that you have. And I try to think like a coach. Like I want to keep some tread on the tires of our good older players. We got a power play. You can look at the roster and say, okay, this is the first power play unit, second power play unit, and then you have what is called, coaches call it a bump up line. It's the line that comes out against the other team's top group that right after a power play, we have some really good people that you don't have to rely on Ryan O'Reilly to come right back out because, one of the top players or top lines are coming on. You have a bump up line, and it's going to be probably a lot of those, the Smiths and the McCarrons and maybe it's Sis and Parse and that sort of whole group. Jankowski, I can put a whole bunch of guys in there that maybe right after a goal, the power play, the other team's top line's coming on. I'm not worried about who's out there because we got some good people that can handle that, and that's really important. I had that in the former stops in Washington and while I was here, we tried to do that, and then in the island, and it's really important when you get very defined roles for guys. They embrace it and they want to excel at it. So.
Barry, to have UC Saros here, how much peace of mind does that give you?
A lot of peace of mind. You know what? I listen to some of the media talk about goaltending. It's very important, and some don't think it's that important. I can just tell you this: goaltending's not important until you need it, and if you don't have one, you want one. So it's very important that Juice is here. Goaltending can sewer your team very quickly if you don't have the goaltending because it takes the trust out of your game. It really does. I've had situations where we didn't have that, what we had. I remember Pekka, getting hurt the one year, and we threw in, I think it was, I can't remember. I think it was Carter Hutton and Jan Lasik. I mean, they had one NHL game between the two of them. And it took a lot of the trust out of our team. There's a big difference from Pekka Rennie to two guys that had combined one NHL game. Just your, I'll say, confidence within your group. And then as soon as something goes in, it's an easy crutch, blame the goalie. And so it gives you a lot of peace of mind, not only me, but it gives your team peace of mind when you got good goaltending.
Were you disappointed with how things worked out with Scarroff? You feel like your game was forced?
Well, I'm not disappointed in how it ended. I was just disappointed that we didn't work together a little bit better. We had a terrific plan for him. Our goaltending department put massive hours, had a great plan for him, and we were ready for the transition or whatever. And with Askey and his agent, they said, let's work through training camp, but we're telling you our desire and what we feel, and then it came out, probably 2 weeks later type thing, and just that process was a little bit of disappointment, but in the end, I'm not disappointed because I think we got fair return for, any time that someone demands a trade, it puts one team at a little disadvantage because, there's not going to be a lot of overpayment from the other team trying to acquire him. It's like, it's like anything. You're at a little disadvantage. So I thought we did okay.
Anything else for Barry?
Barry, to compete, the Central remains just as strong as ever.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look around this division, what's the biggest challenge working around this group?
Well, I think in a Central, I look at it. The Central's a bear. You're going to play no matter what. You're going to play good teams just every night. But I always look at it this way: you get better playing good teams. And if we have that mindset that, this is a good team we're up against, we got to play to our identity, we got to play with structure, we got to work our tails off, we got to be committed, we got to do all the right things. The good teams make you better and make you more prepared for having success if you do make the playoffs. So I just think it's great. When we were just growing as a team in Nashville, the best teacher and the best development tool that we had was a loaded Detroit team that we played a lot because they made us better. Competition makes you better, and I'd rather, and I know you've got to be challenged or you don't get better.
I touched on this a little bit, but with the veteran group that you do have, people talk about windows. I guess is it fair to say this veteran group is maybe a couple 3-year window? To make that
Yeah, that's fair. You know, Father Time always wins. That's fair. I think, as I say, I'm hoping that some of our young guys can blend in and pop, and I think what I know about top players in this league, they take care of themselves, they train the right way, they evolve. If they're a step slower, they will evolve and do things differently because they're elite athletes. So I'm hoping that, you know, we've signed those type of people, and I believe we have those type of people. So I just think you know, for us is getting the blend. Our young guys are going to have to be as important as our older guys, and it's going to be like this, and then hopefully it just sort of goes like this, and you know, that's the goal. There's no perfect science to this. We haven't finished last in the National Hockey League or in a position where, you know, you can get the game changers a lot of times. So you've got to do it different ways. You've got to draft and trade and do those things, but you got to become a good team. You know, you look at you know, you can do it as a group. I think you know, teams like Vegas have done it, and St. Louis has done it, and you know, won their cups with a lot of depth and good players. And you know, you just got to find a path.